Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Today's Tiger Timers are Board Member Bob Fisher and Board Member Emily Warden. Thank you very much. The rules for the banging clock question should be on your table. Please review them prior to the question and answer session. As a reminder, only members, Tiger Bay members, and if you want to, you can sign up right this minute. Monica will be happy to take your registration. So only members and young Tigers may ask a question. So our young Tiger here in the crowd, we'll count our scholarship gentleman as a young Tiger. So if you would like to ask a question, feel free. We ask that you ask only a single question and no speeches, please. Also, remember to wait for the microphone, the monitor brings it around, and state your name clearly. Waiting the banging clock questions today will be Vice President Art O'Hara, Board Secretary Dr. Helen Levine, Board Member Rich Piper, Board Member Wendy Grassi, and County Commissioner Janet Long. Staffing the microphone, of course, is our Executive Director, Monica Kyle. The format for today's program will be as follows. In lieu of an introduction, we will allow each candidate to have 2 minutes for opening remarks, and we'll ask them to each come up to the podium so they can be showcased. After that, we will have a 30-minute question-answer session, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Each candidate will select a questioner in order going down the line, and I will help facilitate that, okay? When asking a question, we ask that the audience select a person that you'd like to answer it, or which group, or all of them for that matter, okay? So please keep that in mind as you're out asking the questions. We will then end with closing remarks again for each candidate to come up to the podium and have 2 minutes for closing remarks. Okay, at this time I'd like to start with the introductory remarks. And I'm going to start to my right, Steve Galvin. I'll let you come up first. We'll go down the line here then, and then we'll start this one.
Hi, I'm Steve Galvin, running for City Council for District 8. It's good to be here at Tiger Bay. A lot of you probably recognize me. It's not only here for the first time because I'm running for office, but because I've been a member for as long as I've lived in St. Petersburg. I served on the Tiger Bay Board, and I chaired the Scholarship Committee. A little bit about my background. I'm a small business owner. I was starting my first small business when some of my opponents here were still in elementary school. My first business was a music store. I got together with a friend of mine, and we had about $5,000. We signed a lease on an 800 square foot building. Within 5 years, we have a 10,000 square foot location and over $100,000 worth of inventory that we own. I know what it's like to start a business and to enable a business to thrive. It's not easy. It takes a tremendous amount of work, and I think that that background is good to be represented on City Council. I took the profits from that music store and started buying houses in California. That's where I began doing my home renovations. And that's where I honed my skills that have served me well since I moved here to St. Petersburg. My first project here was an 85-year-old house that was in desperate need of repair. And I spent the next couple of years turning that back into the beautiful home that it once was. I have a special affinity for historic homes. That's why I've been a member of St. Pete Preservation for years. I think it's an important aspect for a council person to be knowledgeable about historic preservation, because let's face it, that's part of what City Council makes decisions on. I have a significant investment in the community, and I've been a member of my neighborhood association for most of the time that I've lived here. I believe it's important that City Council have someone with construction experience. I see the time is running out. Thank you for being here. Steve Galvin, City Council, District 8.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for inviting us to be here at Tiger Bay Forum. I was looking at your webpage before I came here, and it said you carve up politicians over lunch. It's a good thing that I'm not a politician. Some people think I'm too honest to be a politician. You ask me a question, I'll give you a direct answer. Whether or not you like it, I'll give you what my answer is. But I have a rule that I follow on leadership, and I look, and I call it the 3 L's. I look, and then I listen, and then I lead. I like to look and see what's going on, and listen to what my constituents have to say. And I've walked up and down the 8th district, and I've listened to their concerns. And 2 of those concerns that have come up the most often are neighborhood security. People are afraid, in their neighborhoods. I've heard of carjackings, I've heard of house breakings, things like that. And the other issue I see when I walk the area, and I've been walking the area since before the campaign. I did some census work in the 2010 census, and I saw a lot of vacant houses in my district. And I wondered, why are those people not in those houses anymore? And a lot of times it comes down to jobs. So those are the 2 focuses of my campaign, is job creation, which I have a plan that I'm looking at. It's out of model out of Brookfield. And also I'm looking at neighborhood security. So I'm talking to the neighborhood associations and neighbors about what they can do as far as community policing, contributing to the community policing thing. I want to share with you a personal story I have, and this is why job creation is so important to me. Well, one of the reasons. When I was born in Sarasota, and before I was 1, we moved to New York. So I actually grew up in New York. And one of the primary reasons for my move there was my dad couldn't find work there. So he moved to New York. So that's one of the core reasons that I focus in on job creation. And I'm not going to get to tell you more about that because the 2 minutes to get to know me. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. So I can't believe the end is almost here. Some of you may think that I'm talking about primary election day, but I'm actually secretly talking about getting out of the tiger's den a lot. Many of you may have noticed multiple news stories about our district with titles like political newcomers vie for seat. Political newcomer? Absolutely. I grew up in Louisiana, and if any of you know any history about Louisiana, Edwin Edwards reigned there for 17 years, and there were bumper stickers that said things like, "Vote for the crook, it's important." So instead, how did I end up here in the tiger's den? I spent my life advocating for a more socially just world and working to help people who are most at risk. I did much of that with Girl Scouts. I want to talk a little bit about that today because it's really a big part of how I'm here. Girl Scouts builds girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. It takes courage and confidence to run for public office, and it takes courage and confidence to make bold decisions that move a city forward. But what I really want to talk about today is character, and I'm not talking about character like Mr. Edwards. You deserve a leader who has the character to make tough decisions. You deserve someone who's open-minded and willing to listen to all. You deserve a leader who will represent you, who's not deterred by ambitious goals, who's not, who's action-oriented. You deserve a representative that will listen to you. But most importantly, you deserve a leader who has integrity, is trustworthy, and is the leader we need in our city today. My reputation proves I'm that leader. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
I've discovered that running for city council, this is a lot like love. You get really anxious and nervous because really I'm in the process of moving the city. I'm here to serve, to help. And first of all, I'd like to thank you all for inviting me here to visit the Tiger Bay Forum. Thank you very much. Basically, as I walk around the district, and I've walked probably well, maybe not over 1,000 homes. And I find that a lot of people are concerned that there has become a disconnect between government and the people. And so therefore, I'm going to be the candidate who addresses this issue that's not just here in St. Pete, but is at the state and national level. Right here from St. Pete, from the bottom up, I'm going to work to bring us back to the model of government, where the people are the government and representatives represent. Now, there are some exceptions to this. Obviously, if civil rights or constitution, if the public wants to violate those, then I'm going to take a stand. But basically, I'm going to go with what the public wants. And I'm going to continue what I've been doing once elected. I'm really looking forward to the day when I can go to someone's house and say, "Hi, I'm Alex Johnson. I'm your city councilman. How can I help? What would you like to see?" I hope that this is the kind of model that you're looking for, that you will vote for me on August 27th. Thank you very much for having us. Bon appetit. The politicians are here for your delight. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the District 8 candidates. We're now going to go on to District 4, and we're going to start with the first one right here. Carol.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I've been a Tiger for a number of years, and I actually even have a couple of these little guys at home that I'm not so sure I like being on this side of the podium. So thank you all for inviting me here and for coming out today to learn more about all the City Council candidates. I'm Carolyn Freeze, candidate for City Council District 4, where I'm not in the process of moving into the neighborhood. I've been living in the same house on the same street for the past 23 years, raising my family and serving my neighborhood. I'm originally from Northwest Indiana, where I learned the value of hard work on my parents' horse farm by doing the dirty jobs like cleaning stalls and baling hay. Where I also learned I had a natural gift for math and science and a curiosity about how things work that made me lead to earning an engineering degree from Purdue University. And I want all of you to know that my platform is not a soundbite to get elected. I've been living it. I've been living my platform of economic development, education, neighborhoods, and fiscal responsibility by creating companies that create jobs and export products, by volunteering in the public schools that my 4 children attend, by serving the community as president of my neighborhood association and as a Rotarian, and also by successfully managing the money at home, my businesses, and my volunteer activities. My plan for St. Petersburg is simple. You probably even remember it from your childhood. Stop, look, listen, and lead. Stop the focus on politics. Look for ways to improve, whether that's processes within the city or things that you can do within your neighborhoods. Listen to what the people have to say and lead the city forward. I'm happy to say I've already been able to help a District 4 resident who was having some issues having to walk through a dirt alleyway between her house and the bus. I was able to get that alleyway put on the schedule to be paved. I'm Carolyn Freeze, a consensus builder by nature and a problem solver by training as an engineer, and I hope to earn your vote on August 27th. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Tiger Bay. I'm Darden Rice. Thank you for hosting this forum, and I know that I'm here to get carved up for lunch. To honor the tradition of spirited debate, I hope today to continue to discuss my platform called St. Pete Strong, which is strong businesses, strong neighborhoods, and strong city services. You know, it's a funny thing. Last week at the City USF debate, Richard wasn't there, but my opponents, David McCaleb and Carolyn Freeze, were in complete lockstep together, attacking me on virtually everything to do with my platform, my position on job creation, my support for mass transit, support for the arts, and universal curbside recycling. They even trashed my endorsements from our public safety police unions to our city workers and the Chamber of Commerce. Well, today, in today's debate, I hope to discuss actually how mass transit is the key to our region's growth and economy. I want to discuss the ways the city has a core duty to create the environment for the success of the working families and job creators. I want to discuss how universal curbside recycling will actually save money, and it's the right thing to do. My lifelong values are public service, equity, accountability, courage, and engagement. I have the strongest record of public service and leadership. Leadership is not yelling at a microphone at a podium. Leadership is listening, preparing, working with others, and getting results. I've been a resident of St. Pete for over 20 years and a homeowner almost nearly as long. Thank you very much. My name is Darden Rice. You can find out more about me at votedardenrice.com, and I look forward to today's debate. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Richard Eldridge. I have lived in this community since 1996, and when I arrived today, I realized my very first job was at the Illinois as a banquet server, so I want to thank the banquet servers right now. I'm not used to eating like this. This is incredible. Thank you very much. It's 2 forks for sitting. I live alone, so I use the same fork as a food poisoning kicks in. That's how I eat. But like Mrs. Schmiege, I was also born in Indiana, Monsanto, Indiana. And my father was a pastor in a small church up there. And then we moved to Convy, New York, and South Charleston, West Virginia, Martinsville, West Virginia, Sarah, Pennsylvania, and then I got tired of being cold, so I moved to Florida. And that's basically my life story. I joined the Marine Corps in 1980, however, and that's what I'm most proud of, other than my children, of course. It was a challenge, and it was a service, and I was proud to do it. I don't usually require 2 minutes to talk, so that's pretty much all. I'll leave it right here. Thank you.
Hello, Tigers. My name is Dr. David McCaleb. I'm a brain and spine surgeon locally, a small businessman, family man, married for 22 years with 3 great kids, and a community leader. I've lived in the district for 10 years, continuously as a resident. And I've been carved up here before, and I've done some of my own carving, so it's good to be here. Now, I'm running because I want to put this city government back into the hands of the citizens it's supposed to serve. I don't think this government is serving the citizens the way they expect. And I think we need a new philosophy in our city government. One that recognizes what Bono finally recognized this week, which is that capitalism lifts more people out of poverty than any government aid program ever will. And I think we need to honor our businesses in that way. I have the strongest record of community service. Go to my website at stpetersgeorge.com. You'll see how in 2001 I stood up after 9/11 for 6 years to help our fire, police, hospitals, and community prepare for terrorist attacks. And for 6 years. How in 2006 the Boy Scouts are in an African American career day at Mount Zion Progressive and have worked with the Boy Scouts in other ways. You'll see how I stood up against high property taxes in 2006 through 2009. You'll see how I led the way at the Florida Medical Association for a health system reform plan that empowers patients, takes power away from governments and insurance companies. That was unanimously agreed to after I led the way for 2 years, building consensus. Yes, I know how to lead and listen and get things done. But we have big problems in our city. We have a $325 million unfunded retirement plan hole. And we're going to leave our police and our firefighters and government workers in the cold when we finally go bankrupt, which we are on track to do in 5 to 10 years if we don't change things. And we need to incentivize our employees with pay raises and other incentives so that they can adopt more control in their hands. So we can do better. We can build a better society if we put people back in people's hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidates. This is the time we're all been waiting for. It's now time for our question and answer. What we're going to do is Monica is standing in the back with the microphone, and we are going to start at this end. And Alex, we're going to allow you to choose the first question, and then we'll go right down, and then we'll come this way. Okay? So we'll start that way. So you need to identify who do you want to ask the question of, which candidate, or all of the candidates, or just the candidates in the district. So Alex, I'm going to let you pick the hand.
Over there, yes. I'm Warren Eisenhower. The city employees, many city employees have not had a pay increase in 8 years, some in 3 years. I'm wondering what you folks are planning to do, because it raises the question in my mind how we're able to attract and retain good employees.
Who are you going to ask that of, Warren? Everybody?
I have a lot of friends who are city employees, and I know that morale is terribly low. And so let me tell you, my priority number one for me is infrastructure. If nothing else gets funded, infrastructure needs to be funded, and that includes the people who make it run and the people who make it safe. I will be constantly looking for efficiencies and other ways that we can take the money and put it in to supporting the workers and our infrastructure. A lot of people actually don't realize that the infrastructure itself is having some problems, like our sewer systems are very, they're very old and they flood. And what amazes me is that people go down into those things and see the most horrible things, and yet they haven't received a pay raise. Not on my watch.
I think it's really important that we're able to stay competitive with other organizations. So I understand that our current pay structure is not necessarily as competitive as the county or the city of Tampa, and I think that's really important so that we can retain residents here in St. Petersburg. I can tell you that one of the things I would first look for are other efficiencies in city government, including reducing redundancies, driving down operating costs, using energy efficiencies, and that kind of thing. I do understand that I believe there's a possibility for an increase this year, and I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And something I can address with authority. I've worked for the city of St. Petersburg, and I've been a member of the union bargaining team, Service Employees International Union. And what we have put together is a contract that's going before ratification for the SEIU that would include a 2% salary increase, as well as the restoration of steps. And steps is very important to the blue-collar workers, because people were getting hired that didn't have as much seniority as other people, and they were getting bigger salary increases. So the restoration of steps is going to equalize that process over time, as well as making the anniversary date uniform for salary. That's something that you get a salary increase on anniversary dates. But it's going before ratification on, ironically, August 26th, the day before the primaries. And if it gets ratified, that'll go into effect, I think, at the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Well, I think as Alex pointed out, infrastructure is one of our primary responsibilities as a community. And having attended some of the budget review meetings, it seems pretty clear that a raise is imminent in the next year's budget, and that's been long overdue. People have gone without a pay raise for far too long, and we do need to stay competitive, so I'm anxious to see that happen.
Carolyn will let you go down that road, will let you start. That needs to be turned on.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not just the city that's experiencing this. All the corporations are experiencing it. I mean, the majority of folks that I know haven't had raises in several years. So it's not just a city issue, it's a countrywide issue in all businesses. The tough thing with the city can't just necessarily sell more products or raise the prices on the products. Something's got to give in order to be able to give raises to folks. So you're either going to have to raise taxes, which nobody wants to do, or you're going to have to look inside and you're going to have to peel back. You're going to have to try and work with different areas to improve processes to get better efficiency so you can do more with less. I hate that term, but you have to use it again. Or you'll have to be able potentially to cut some jobs to free up that money, because the only other alternative is to raise the taxes, which isn't something that the folks want right now. So it's a really tough decision and it's a hard thing, but I'm willing to go in there and work with the city staff to try and figure out a solution to be able to give the folks some more money.
Thank you. I'm Darden Rice. You know, over the $220 million revenue that we have goes to supporting our 2,700 city employees. Half of those employees work in public safety. Warren, it's a great question, and it is a city issue. there are some workers who haven't gotten a raise in 6 years. I'm very proud to tell you that when I was the president of the League of Women Voters of St. Pete, I worked as a founder and a core participant with the People's Budget Review, and we facilitated a public process welcoming the public to give ideas back to the city, to bring in transparency, to bring in accountability, to look at the budget in a holistic way, and to let the mayor and city council and the staff know what our priorities were, where we wanted to look for revenues, where cuts were acceptable, but most of all, it came out loud and clear that we wanted to support our city workers, and I will, as your next city councilwoman, stand with our city workers and negotiate fairly for their rights. Thank you.
It's like to be long and drawn out, but basically I've been saying since day one when I entered, I am strongly for giving raises to the city workers. They haven't had it in years and they're entitled to it. It's not only just competitive, it's fair, it's the right thing to do, they've earned it.
Well, Dr. David McCaleb, unlike my opponents in this race, I'm the only one who's put forward a concrete plan with numbers exactly where the money comes from to give raises to the employees. I'm not going to talk about platitudes, I'm going to talk about hard numbers. We have $80 million in excess reserves, not reserves, excess, above and beyond what is legally required. We should take $2 million of that and use it for raises right away. I'm willing to offer $10 million for raises if we incentivize employees to adopt a defined contribution plan so we can rescue our pension plan and avoid bankruptcy. I think we also have to focus our money on the primary services of our city, roads, police, utilities, and parks. And if we do that, then we're not going to have to worry about cutting worker pay anymore. We have to stop giving money for the lanes, we have to stop double widening our sidewalks and putting pretty median strips in. Now, I also think we should move $60 million from the surplus reserves into the employee pension fund. I'm the only one who's talking about putting more money in the control of the city workers so they can have a secure retirement.
Thank you. Amy, you get to choose the next questioner. You got to, please wait, you choose who you want, Monica will go up to them and go to the microphone.
Judy Hunt, I would like each of the candidates to answer one question. 2 words will be happy. Lens, keep it, stop it.
Amy, I'm going to pass.
Keep it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it. Stop it.
Stop. The only District 4 candidate that signed a petition to stop it.
People decide.
Okay, next question. I'll let you choose the next question.
What happened?
This question is for Dr. David McCaleb. 4 years ago, as reported widely in national media, you forwarded an overtly racist email depicting the President of the United States as a witch doctor. If you could be magically transported back in time so that you were standing over the shoulder of David McCaleb 4 years ago, would you still send that email?
Thank you again, David McCaleb. Of course I wouldn't send that email. I apologize for sending that email that I did not create. I forwarded it on. It was offensive, and I took action to apologize for it. But you know what I noticed? While I was working to stop Obamacare, to make sure that people got affordable, high-quality health care, and while I was being effective at the AMA, at the Florida Medical Association, people took notice. They said, we've got to stop this guy. And that's what happens when people try to suppress free speech. They go after a person. That was a political attack. And I'm not going to tolerate political attacks like that anymore. I'm going to call them out because I view them as political terrorists who are trying to shut down the freedom of speech in America by intimidating people into silence. So people who have an agenda for big government win, and the rest of us have to sit down and take it. Thank you, Peter.
You get to, Stephen will get the next question.
Kim Black, thank you all for being here. Many times we hear candidates for office and even some elected officials, when talking about our public schools, say that really has nothing to do with city council or county commission, that it's a school board. Considering that our students are only in public schools for 6 hours every day, what would you specifically do as a city council member and a leader in our community to work with our school boards and to help support our students in our schools?
Well, I think that's a very important part of our community, is making sure that our children get the education that they need in order to move forward and have productive lives. One particular thing that I'm supporting is the apprenticeship ordinance, which will provide some vocational training for kids who aren't planning on going forward into college. College has become increasingly more expensive, and now that they've raised the rates on college loans, it's even further out of reach of most people. This will enable young people and people who need to get back into the workforce to learn a usable skill that pays a living wage and be able to provide for their families.
I agree with the philosophy that education belongs to everyone. So it's not only Carolyn Free's District 4. It's not only the schools that are responsible for educating our children. It's the community at large. It's the parents. It's everyone that's involved. And I think the best thing that you can do for a child is to give them the ability or the knowledge that they have the ability to achieve and set their own goals. One thing I realized that as John Hopkins Middle School PTSA president, we had a fundraiser. And the kids at John Hopkins Middle School, most of them were neighborhood kids, raised over $17,000 worth of cookie dough, or sold $17,000 worth of cookie dough. And they really had no specific purpose for it other than a pizza party at the end of it. I actually met with Superintendent Grego and gave them a proposal to have some of these children work on a project that would benefit their communities. In the case of John Hopkins, they have a journalist, and they could write news articles, they could take photographs. They could plan out the whole project, raise the money, and then actually implement the project in their neighborhood. The sense of achievement that they would get out of that would be amazing, and it would be a lifelong experience for them.
Darden Rice. Education is the great equalizer, and I'm honored to have the endorsement of Pinellas County School Board Linda Lerner and Janet Clark. We have got to get more kids graduating from high school who are prepared to enter the workforce or prepared for higher education. In the K through 5 grades, we need to focus on enrichment, math and sciences, and hands-on activities. In grades 6 through 9, we need to keep kids off the street after school, focus on their decision-making skills, connect them with mentors. Grades 10 through 12, get them focused on trades, crafts, apprenticeships, and college prep. The city certainly plays a role. We need to do what we can to offer safe, supportive, and nutritional environments. If your stomach is growling, or if you're worrying whether mom is okay, or where you're going to sleep that night, then you can't focus on school. We also have a lot to learn from private schools whose approaches to learning and their high success rates, we have a lot to learn from.
Dr. David McCaleb, I think our city can do things to help with schools, and that was the question with our city. First of all, we have to recognize that the power comes from individuals. It comes from people reaching out to a kid who doesn't know how to read and saying, come here, I'll teach you how to read. It comes to a family who's a single mom, someone reaching out to that single mom and saying, come here, let me help you, mentor you as you're trying to raise your kids. And I would reward people who do volunteer work like that with something I call the Good Neighbor Reward Program. If you reach out in this way, you're going to get a tax break, utility bill cut, you're going to get free tickets to the Rays game, golf rounds, you're going to get relief on the parking ticket they gave you. Because you reached out and you did what really works in society. One-on-one action to help your fellow man. That's what Jesus taught. That's what I believe in, help your neighbor. So I have a concrete action step for the Good Neighbor Reward Program. I also think our city could donate empty property to charter schools. I also support the use of vouchers. I think this government has had the schools under control with more money forever. I don't see the results. Let's put it back in the power of parents. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I defer to the gentleman. Oh, go ahead. Okay. I'm Alex Sunsing, and I am an educator, and I know the importance of education. Without a good education, property values will stay low, and businesses will be hesitant to come to the city. I have been out there personally linking linking the people that I talk to, this is something I'll continue to do, with educational resources. There's a lot of educational programs that are happening inside the community and local businesses and with community organizations. I will work to partner people who need those services, that want to engage in those things with those services. And I also let people know about the khanacademy.org, which is a great online learning tool for people to learn everything from math, science, finance. And the other thing I would do is to really work to improve our rec center programs, so get more people involved in those. And I would also work very hard to stop the school to prison pipeline. Thank you.
Yeah, he's right about Khan Academy. It's awesome. You got to check it out. One thing we need is inspiration. I mean, we have people inspiring our children, rock stars, sports stars. The fact is, most of our children will not be rock stars, sports stars. We need local heroes, doctors, engineers, etc., to inspire the children to pursue these kind of careers, because this is where they're going to make money. If they pursue a basketball, being a basketball star, great. If they make it, if they don't, then it'd be great if they could fall back on being a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or a real estate agent, a chef, whatever else is out there. But we need to inspire them to do these things. And that's the important thing.
Education changes lives, and having a ready and educated workforce is key in order for us to attract industry and businesses here to our city. It's also key to retaining families in our area. This is what I've spent most of my career working on, and I think it's really important for City Council to play a liaison role with our school board in this area. I've talked in other meetings about helping keep kids off the street from 3 to 6 p.m. and increasing the value of what we offer at our rec centers. I think early education programs are important. One of the national groups that I work with is called Citizen Schools. I'd like to see Citizen Schools come here to St. Petersburg. They're funded by other organizations. It's a private-public partnership like Bank of America and other corporate sponsors, and they extend the school day and use people outside of teachers. And I think that would be a really important addition in our city.
As a councilman, I would encourage parents to utilize the many programs we have at the library and encourage the reading, because that's the number one thing that kids need to do in order to succeed in this world. And we should encourage that whenever possible. Read to your child at night. Go to one of those reading programs that they have, like Mayor Baker, I guess Mayor Foster's continued that program of reading at the libraries, and that's a real important thing. The other thing we can do is support our teachers. Teachers have a very hard job educating 25 to 30 students in their class, and any kind of support we can give them, whether it be give them a printer cartridge, because I think one year they didn't have enough money to make copies, for the thing. You get right down to the micros of teaching, you need those kind of supplies and resources. So I would encourage our city to adopt programs or to continue programs that we already have in place, like the corporate sponsorship program that the Mayor Baker did was a very good one too. So I would encourage that as well.
Thank you. We are actually at the point, this will be our last question. Carolyn, I let you choose the last question.
Hi, I'm Rick Evans. Ms. Foster, you don't get to answer this question, but for the 7 who said stop the lens, what would you do with $50 million to improve the downtown development district?
I'd actually like to be able to see us do a less expensive option on the pier. That's one of the things that I'm hearing from folks is they don't want to spend $50 million on the pier right now. It's just the timing is not good. The TIF financing makes it kind of tricky because it's not easy to give that money back to the people. It involves actually kind of shutting down the TIF early and having to give part of that money back to the county. But I would like to be able to possibly explore doing that. Times are tough right now, and for the city to be spending at this point, it's going to be more like $37 million. But to spend that much money on something like the pier right now is just something that the people of District 4 anyway don't want to do.
Great question, Mr. Edmonds. Thank you. My name is Darden Rice. I'm on record for supporting having a scaled-down version that reflects the cultural heritage of St. Petersburg and having that in the mix as we go forward. I do support a comprehensive waterfront plan and sticking to a process where we look holistically at protecting our waterfront. It's not one big project that's going to come in and scar the waterfront. It's going to be the death of 1,000 cuts because every little part of the waterfront is making a separate decision, separate plans, separate parking lots, and that will be what will harm our waterfront, overall waterfront most of all. I'd like to see a comprehensive, holistic approach to planning. Unfortunately, the peer process has actually gotten far ahead of that, and I guess we can figure out how to make that all work in the end. But it is my preference to see something that's a scaled-down version that reflects our cultural heritage.
Private enterprise is hands down the best thing for the pier. I would rather have a private corporation deal with the waterfront, not the city. I'd like to use this as an example. NASA put men on the moon, robots on Mars. We've got a probe going into interstellar space right now as we speak. But yet Walt Disney's Cartoon Mouse has 11 times more visitors than NASA does. So private enterprise absolutely is the best answer for the waterfront.
Dr. David McHale, you learn about my plan here at stpetersyours.com. The question was, what do you do with the $50 million? Well, I say you give it to union members for their pension holes that need to be filled. You give it back to taxpayers who made the money in the first place and put it in their pocket. And what you do is you find a private company to come in and lease the pier. Tell them we want a pier that has a look and feel of St. Pete. It's not hard to pick up on the architecture of our waterfront. And we'd like you to pay the bill for building us a new pier. And by the way, you're going to pay taxes on that to us. And you're going to pay us a lease. And in exchange, you get a profit. That works. That was done with Chelsea Piers in Manhattan without a single dime of taxpayer dollars. And this has been done before. Bayfront Medical Center is leased to HMA, which has another owner right now. The Mahaffey has a private person there. This is a model that works. I think private industry will do much better, and it's already worked. Look at the condos that have developed, and that's paying taxes to the city. Thank you.
It's clear to me from talking to the people of St. Petersburg that the people of St. Petersburg want something there. Basically, my approach here is to put it to a vote. I'd like to, if this vote goes, that we cancel the contract, I'd like to look and see if the current burn pyramid can be down under $50 million. If so, I'd like to put that to a vote. If the people decide not to restore, then I'd like to look at perhaps 3 or so locally sourced options, including maybe something that's just a small, simple pier out there. I'd put that to a primary, have a run-up of those, and have a vote of those. I know a lot of people want to know my personal opinion. Mind you, this is just my personal opinion. It would not be what I try to push in City Council. I personally would like to see something like the Vinoy meets Jules Verne kind of steampunk technology.
If the ones were voted down, I would work hard towards building a consensus. Because somewhere, there's very diverse opinions about that. Some people don't like the lens, some people don't like the inverted pyramid. And what I've been, from talking to people in my district, I've heard a variety of opinions about those two things. And it seems like we need to work on building a new consensus of what to do with the waterfront if the lens were voted down. One of the ideas that I heard that was suggested was $1 million pier. There might be a new coalition forming regarding that issue. We have to look at that. I also looked at the reports on the TIF money and what your flexibility is able to do on that. You can use it for something else, but it has to be on the other side of 9th Street, as I understand it. The TIF money has restrictions to that particular area. So I've been looking at it to see what kind of consensus we could build, but I would look, listen, and then lead.
I signed both of the petitions to put the lens on the ballot. I think it is important that we be fiscally responsible as a community. I've been a renovator most of my life, and I think that our most fiscally responsible option is to rebuild the pier that we have. The engineering reports have concluded that the caissons underneath the superstructure of the inverted pyramid are still in great shape. Everyone also agrees that the approach and the apron around the pierhead do need to be replaced. And I feel that we can replace the approach with a narrower approach. I don't think it makes any sense to use 20 feet of pier to park one car. I think that's a very poor use of real estate. A narrower approach would be significantly less expensive, and a better mix of retail in the pyramid itself, I think, would lessen our subsidy, particularly if we include solar into our remodel of the pyramid so that it becomes a little bit more self-sufficient.
Thank you. We've reached now the time where each of our candidates will now come up and provide their closing remarks. Since the introductory remarks started on this side, I'm going to turn over here, and I'm going to start with this district. Carolyn, I'll start with you first.
When Rick Baker was mayor, he would often start a speech with, "It's another great day in St. Petersburg." His optimism was infectious, and as a result, our city benefited. But somewhere along the way, folks, we lost that optimism. I love St. Petersburg and its people, and I want to bring back the optimism. I want our citizens to feel safe, our government to be effective and efficient, our businesses to prosper, our neighborhoods to be strong, and our children to be inspired for lifelong learning. Although I am running for city council right now, I'm not a politician. I'm one of you. I've been out there living my platform, advancing economic development by starting companies that create jobs, building a strong community by serving as a neighborhood association president and a Rotarian, and supporting education by sending my kids to public schools. I have the ability and experience to find creative solutions to challenges and an approach that brings people together. Okay, yeah, that kind of freaked me out a little. I just skipped the whole section of my speech. Okay, so I'll back up a little bit. And ensuring fiscal responsibility by managing money well at home, my businesses, and my volunteer activities. I'm a consensus builder by nature and a detail-oriented problem solver by training as an engineer. I have the ability and experience to find creative solutions to challenges and an approach that brings people together. I invite you to visit carolynfreeze.com to learn more about me, and I hope to earn your vote on August 27th. Thank you.
I want to thank Tiger Bay and thank my family, my friends for being here today, my supporters. Over the course of my life, I am proud of having the strongest record of public service. It's made my life more fulfilling and meaningful. I take job creation seriously. I know that that's how we put food on the table. It's how families buy houses and they become invested in our neighborhoods and our city. I have the leadership and management skills, the experience, and the demeanor to work with diverse people in various settings in a solution-based way in order to get results. The coalition supporting me also represents people who care about those goals, from unions who are supporting our city workers and working families to organizations representing CEOs and business leaders and business owners. I understand the role of city council member, and I am the most prepared candidate in District 4 to meet our challenges. The role of city council and city government is to ensure that businesses have the resources they need for job growth, that neighborhoods reflect a desirable place to live, and that city services are lean and effective. I'm the most prepared candidate on mass transit, connecting our communities and businesses, and I will fight to get results for our working families and job creators. Throughout the last 20 years, whether it's in my volunteer life or in my career, you will find the consistent values throughout my life of public service, equity, accountability, courage, and engagement. My name is Darden Rice. I am asking for your vote on August 27th. You can find out more about me, my background, and my platform, St. Pete Strong, at votedardenrice.com. You can contact me there as well, by email or by phone, and I look forward to continuing this conversation with the good people of St. Pete for our future. Thank you.
City council is about public service. My public service goes back to when I was 17 and I first donated a pint of blood and did not pass out doing it, which some people do. But it goes beyond that. When I was 18, I joined the Marine Corps and I had the honor of being a recon Marine. And if you don't know what that is, I would say Google it, go to YouTube, a lot of great videos on the subject. Service has been my life. I've donated locally around 5 gallons of blood to Florida Blood Services, and outside the area, 3 gallons of blood. So a total of 8 or 9 gallons of blood have been cycled from my body to help you out. So, I'm sorry, I didn't do that. I love tigers. And this is about public service. Like I said, this is my history. I've also volunteered as one of those telephone guys at the All Children's Hospital telephone. I've done that. I've done walkathons, and I've done numerous things to serve the public. I have a college education in biology from USF, and I have an associate in arts from St. Petersburg College as well. And if you want to learn more about me, I have a Facebook page. I don't have an actual website, but it's facebook.com/Eldridge2009. If you want to learn more about me, contact me that way. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. I am Dr. McCaleb. You can learn more about me at stpetersyours.com. You know, I think people all want the same thing. They all want peace. They all want prosperity. They all want happiness. People just have a different way of getting here. And I think we've tried the same way for a couple of decades in this city. It's a way of government trying to build a quality of life. And I don't think it's worked. Just look and see, are you better off now than you were 10 years ago? Is unemployment down? Are social problems that have been here for decades solved? Do we have more businesses? How did we lose 3,500 residents in St. Pete? How did we cut 365 workers out of our city workforce for the government? Why are our taxes and utility bills higher? Why did I get in the mail? I've noticed that we're going to raise utility bills again for 5 different bills. Because our government's on the wrong track. And there's lots of politicians in the political class, and lots of big corporations who support some people because they want to build a train through water to St. Pete. And they're going to raise your sales taxes $130 million a year and put it on the backs of poor middle-class people to enrich the well-connected and the rich. All for their train. Well, I have a different future. It's one where the citizens own their city. And we have lower cost of living. We have more prosperity, with more businesses. We attract manufacturing. We have more freedom by getting rid of red light cameras and making sure we have freedom of speech. We have a more transparent government, which is why I put all my candidate questionnaires on my website, and I'll make sure you get that level of transparency in city government. And we have a community and neighbors, where people realize we have a better society when we help each other directly, not when we go to the government and say, it's your job, and you go home and watch TV. So I want to represent you there. I want to take the city in a new direction. And if you want the same direction, and you think that's going to make a difference, you know where to go. If you want someone who wants to give you freedom and more prosperity with ways that have worked, then I'm your guy, Dr. David McCaleb. Go to stpetersyours.com. Thank you.
My name is Steve Galvin, running for City Council District 8. I'm not running for City Council for any other reason than to try to do the best possible job for the people of St. Petersburg. It's important to me that they trust that they can be heard, not only on the big ticket items like the lens, but also for decisions that might only affect their neighborhoods. They also need to trust that Council will be good stewards of our city's resources. You know, it's been a wonderful experience going door to door, talking to people, and having a one-on-one conversation. And they're usually quick to share what they love and what they're frustrated about living in St. Petersburg. But it's clear that most people are proud to call St. Petersburg home. I think it's safe to say their trust in our city government has waned of late. Issues like the lens, red light cameras, and the pervasive drug and prostitution problems along 34th Street seem to be top of the list in my district. I believe that I'm the best choice in this race to ensure that we get the right things done. I'm very active and involved in my community, from volunteering at the Mainsail Art Festival every year, Gulf Coast Legal Services at the Tropicana, and most recently, volunteering with Lawyers for Literacy. We tutor third graders who have been identified as being at risk of reading. And I got to tell you, it's been one of the most rewarding things that I've done in my life, to make a difference in a third grader's quality of life and their ability to move on in life as a reader. My mom was a librarian, and she taught me the importance of reading and how it stimulated my imagination and my ability to learn anything I needed to learn in life. I'm also proud to be endorsed by the AFL-CIO. My father worked his way up to being union president, and that was very important to me. I was also honored that the Iron Workers Local 397 contributed the maximum donation to my campaign. These are the guys that built the steel superstructure of that iconic inverted pyramid that we have up there. And they built it to last more than the 40 years it has served as the symbol of our great city. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm Steve Galvin, candidate for City Council District 8.
As I said earlier, I'm not really a politician. I'm just somebody that's appearing on the ballot for those people that live in the 8th District. My name is Robert J. Davis. You can find me on my website, robertjdavis.org, for additional information about my jobs program, about the thing that I'm looking to do for creating more opportunities for our high school students. I want to encourage more trade apprenticeships. I've talked to a UAW representative recently at the Sustainability Council, another avenue that people can go for building a consensus. We do a lot of things good at St. Pete, that's why everybody loves it here. But we need to work on our consensus building. And I think one of the ways that we can do that is by looking at how we view people with different opinions than our own. You know, you take somebody, you may call them disgruntled, but I call them a passionate person, and we need to channel that passion in a direction that will make the city even greater. It's a really beautiful city to live in. My wife and I moved here with our children about 15 years ago, and we've been involved since then in the community in one fashion or another. And this is my first opportunity to run for city council. I help other people work on their campaigns, but now I'm the face of the campaign, and I get to be carved up at one of these functions. So, even though I'm not really a politician, I'm too honest to be a politician. But I can tell you one thing I did do. I voted. I was one of the 13% or 14% that voted, you know. Hopefully that number will be higher this year. I hope everybody will go out there and vote. You know, get your kids to vote too. That's the way you model behavior for your children. By doing your civic duty, by voting, by going to jury duty. I had that conversation with my son recently. He had to go to jury duty. We said, that's what you have to do. Take off time from work and go to your jury duty. So that's the thing that we need to do. We need to be models for our children. And vote for me in the primary. Thank you.
Thank you again for your time today. I'm Amy Foster, and I'm running for City Council because I have the skills, experience, and character that we need for our city today. I'm not the only one who thinks so. I'm happy to be endorsed by both major newspapers, a number of elected officials, and other groups as well. I currently manage 41 states to build public-private partnerships. I also have experience in collaboration, consensus building, leveraging resources, and business process improvements. I think these are skills we need in our city right now. St. Petersburg has made great strides, but there is still work to be done. And I appreciate that people are upset about the limbs and red light cameras and the rays. But my campaign is focused on the issues that affect people's daily lives that they've told me about when I've spoken with them door to door. There are 3 issues: building safer neighborhoods. That'll be my top priority as your official. I can't wait to go to a porch party in Central Oak neighborhood where the topic of conversation is not about installing security cameras, because of the drift of crime from 34th Street into their neighborhoods. The second issue is creating jobs and developing our workforce. We have to create jobs, and we have to create jobs that people can feed a family on. I have broad-scale workforce development experience, and I'm looking forward to leveraging national relationships with industry and groups like the Department of Chamber and the Department of Commerce to bring resources to our city. I'm proud to have the endorsement of both the AFL-CIO and the Chamber of Commerce, and they think I'm the best person for that job. And lastly, we have to make sure our kids have the skills they need to succeed. I have a plan everyone can agree on. Thank you. I'm Amy Foster. I'm asking for your vote on August 27th, and I'm looking forward to get to work. Together we can make great things happen.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to express my love for service. I'm Alex Hudson, and I promise that when elected, I will do my utmost to work in both on the street and in City Hall to network the community and to have leadership work in support of the people. I'm Alex Hudson. I've been your candidate for City Council walking the beat. You all have wants, needs, and hopes and aspirations, and I want to get to know them. I have been getting to know them. I've been making calls to the city to help people get disability services, to get pedestrian lights fixed, to get sidewalks put in. I've been calling actively. I'm getting to know all the departments and all the people, and that's what I'm going to continue to do when elected. I'm going to walk around and talk to people, and I'm going to be your advocate in City Hall and your advocate out on the street. I hope that when I'm walking a beat, because I want to represent you and connect you to others in our community who have similar wants and needs, hopes, and aspirations. I've been doing that now. I've been working to connect local artists and community gardening initiatives with one another. I'm going to continue doing that once elected. Because I feel that when we are connected with our community, we can accomplish so much more than we can individually. I believe that working together, that we can create the St. Petersburg that you all want and deserve at a cost we can afford. We will make St. Petersburg even more amazing. I'm Alex Dunsing. I look forward to the day that I can say, I'm your city councilman walking the beat. I hope you vote for me on August 27th. Thank you.
Thank you all to our candidates who came here before us today. I hope we weren't too bad on you, and I don't see too much blood dripping, so I think you made it through okay. So thank you all very much. We would like to ask each of the candidates to accept as our appreciation our mug, carving up a politician for lunch, as a token of our appreciation for stepping into the Tiger's Den. At this time, I want to just remind you again of the programs we have coming up. Wednesday, August 28th, our gubernatorial candidate, Nan Rich, will be here at the Yacht Club. Tuesday, September 10th, we'll have Speaker of the House, Will Weatherford, at the St. Pete Marriott Clearwater. And then on September 27th, we'll have the Pinellas County Schools Superintendent Mike Grego at the Yacht Club as well. And now the answer that you're looking for. Is former past President Rick Edmonds. Please come on up for his question on the floor. At this time, we're adjourned. The candidates who stay for a picture, please do the chair. Thank you.